Welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. I'm Simon Kelly.
And I'm Troy Dean.
And today we'll be looking at how you can offer a WordPress website audit for your clients to generate leads and to also give them some extra value, but we'll get into that. We're also going to take a look at what's been happening lately, and Yoast had a bit of a miss-up with one of their latest updates. A WordPress developer code of honor, how the race to the bottom is killing your business's bottom line as well. Stay with us. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
It's good. It's good to be back in Australia. Have we done one of these since I've been back from the Philippines?
I think the last one we did, you were in the Philippines.
No, hang on. What day of the week is it? No. Last week. Last week I was back here. Last week I was back here.
It's just been a whirlwind, hasn't it? Lots have been changing in the inside the WP Elevation world.
Yeah. It's lots of moving parts, my friend. Lots of moving parts indeed.
Exactly.
No, that's right. The week before I was in the Philippines. So so I can't even remember how long I've been back. But it's good to be back in the studio. Yeah. In my happy place.
Exactly. So
and you good?
Good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Lots is changing. I was just in Sydney for the weekend at a bit of a business development, also called sales seminar, which was interesting to talk to some different businesses. Squeaky chair. Different types of businesses for the weekend in Sydney. Great to catch up with a lot of other agencies as well. So I had a lot of fun there.
How do you feel about sales?
I think it's a bit of a dirty word. Sales. Yeah. Had a bit of a couple of insights about sales over the weekend as well. And if you're able to actually give value to a specific type of business or a particular type of person and actually help them get where they want to go, and you can explain that as more of a value proposition, it's not a sales call where you're pushing something on someone. It's just a way of giving them value. So maybe I've just been drinking the Kool-Aid over the weekend. So. Why do you
think sales has a dirty word? What's the connotation? Like whenever you think about whenever you say, he's a salesman, you think of like some, slimy dude with oily hair and a moustache in a used car yard.
Yeah, because...
Would you buy a car from this used salesman? As my dad
it's manipulation.
Manipulation and seduction are the two great words in sales.
That's right, yeah. So it's more about pushing something someone doesn't want onto them, as opposed to giving them value and giving them something that they might need and something that would help them. So if we're able to position our businesses in the way that actually helps people, then it's not sales, it's just we should be out there helping more people, right? As opposed to selling them encyclopedias that they don't want.
Yeah. I've always thought that if your marketing is good, you don't need to do sales, that sales just happen organically. You make the sale because somebody genuinely wants to buy from you because they've consumed your content and they know that you're the right person for the job. Even if you're buying goods, you do a lot of research online about that car that you want to buy. Then you walk into the dealership and you say, hey, I'd like to take this for a test drive. You don't need to sell me on it because I've already done the research. So if your content and your marketing is good, then the sales should kind of happen organically. I'm on a bit of a mission to kind of reframe the whole notion around sales because I think a lot of people are scared of it. And I think it's the one thing that is probably holding you back from making more money. And I think a lot of people have a weird mindset about money as well. A lot of people feel dirty about making money. And the truth is that if you don't make money, you can't stay in business and therefore you can't feed yourself, you can't feed your team, and you can't help your clients and you can't service your customers. So
exactly.
I'm on a bit of a mission to reframe sales and reframe money. So I'll be very interested to hear what you learnt in your weekend workshop.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's a segment, but we'll get into that.
Very good.
Before that, there's been some updates and some different things that have happened in WordPress. So let's take a look.
Stuff that happened.
First off the press is that Yoast had a bit of a mess up with this media attachment URL. Did you hear about this one?
I didn't, no. So I pretty much live in a bubble these days, mate. Perfect, so the only time I get to know anything is when you tell me on the show here.
So, and the only time I learn anything is when I'm putting together the show. So, Yoast updated to a new version of the plugin, and if you did update that, there was an issue with the media attachment URL where thousands of new URLs were being created and submitted to Google sitemap, but they were duplicates and they were empty URLs, so that was actually causing a big mess and lots of sites were affected and some were affected in some big ways. But they've since fixed the bug, but there's just been, there's always a lot of contention over issues like this. you know, I think Yoast is great. I'm not going to jump ship anytime soon. I think their vision, where they're headed, and all the things that they've done over the years has been fantastic. And I think mistakes can happen. And I mean, that's all part of it. That's the game of software. That's the world of technology that we live in. I think they handled it really well. So yeah, I think stick with it. If you're using Yoast, the cost of changing, the cost of learning and switching between them, what's to say that another company that you're using won't do that? Like, how are we 100% protected from all of these issues? It happens, and I think it's how you react to these kind of problems that really makes or breaks the future of the business. I think they've done a good job.
Yep. That was my first question. How did they handle it?
Yeah, so they put together a post that we've got here as well about how to actually fix that. They really identified what the problem was, the impact, an apology, and moving forward how they're going to deal with that.
Great.
So I think they did a great job.
Awesome. So the acknowledgement and the apology is probably, you know.
That's right.
First things first, acknowledge that you made a mistake, apologise for it, and then tell your audience what you've done to make sure it won't happen again.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Perfect.
Also,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, the Small Business WordPress Developer Code of Honor. I really like this one. It's talking about that, like there's lots of stuff here. So it's not just about the person, the developer. It was also for clients. So if you want to, just a little quote from it here. If you're looking to have a website built for a small business, you need to understand two things. Unless the project is small and simple enough for Squarespace, you're probably going to want to have your site built in WordPress. So I love the language they've used here, because it's almost like copy and paste that you could like give to a client, and you could, it really helps you explain some of the benefits of WordPress, when to use certain systems and when not to, from a business perspective, not just from a structural code, technical kind of perspective. So yeah, definitely worth having a read of this one. Did you have a look at this one?
There's a few, I mean, I have a couple of issues with this. I mean, I remember being at a conference, and I applaud the author for putting this together. It kind of, and I could be wrong here, but it kind of feels like an SEO piece. It kind of feels like they're trying to get traffic for small business WordPress developer.
What makes you say that?
Well, you know, let me just have a look at a couple of the early subheadings here. First of all, the heading is the Small Business WordPress Developer Code of Honor.
That's a big giveaway. For
developers, brackets, people who build small business WordPress websites. I think they're going after small business WordPress as a keyword here. I could be wrong.
And it just screams it out a little bit too obviously.
For clients, in brackets, people who need a small business website. Who's suffering? Small business WordPress website clients. No reason to have the word WordPress in that subheading. It's absolute keyword stuffing. The other problem I have here is that I don't believe, I was at a conference years ago and this guy stood up and said, you know, basically, and one of the things they address here is that if you are outsourcing work, that you owe it to your clients to be transparent and tell them you're outsourcing work. And I think that's horseshit. You don't owe it to anyone to tell anyone how you're running your business. The only thing you owe your clients is to run a profitable business so that you can keep serving them. And I had a guy stand up at this conference years ago in Perth and basically said that if you're outsourcing work to, you know, anywhere, then you're being unethical. And I stood up at the end of the talk and I challenged him on it, and I basically tore him down, and people applauded. Because, you know, the whole notion of, I think what you should do is find the right person for the job and run a profitable business. The reason that I outsourced when I first started out, you know, I was very gung-ho about never outsourcing work to anyone. You know, we're going to do it all in-house. We eventually couldn't find people to do development for us because Australia is such a small country and the population is so small. So we eventually found a team in India who did some amazing development work for us, did some amazing SEO work for us. Then we eventually hired our own developers in the Philippines because the economics made sense and the numbers made sense. There are so many of them that are available. They're very eager to learn. We pay them extremely well. We look after them very well. Our business would not have grown to where it is today if we didn't have our team in the Philippines that helped us grow, because we just would not have been able to afford to hire staff in Australia to do that job, because the cost of labour in Australia is very bloody expensive, because it's a very expensive country to live in because the living standards are so high. So the problem I have with this is it's all very well to say that we need a code of ethics or we need a code of honour. I don't think we do. I mean, rule number one, don't be a dick, right? If you're not being a dick, then, you know, you're following a good code of honor and you're following good best practices. So the problem I have with this is, one, I think it's a SEO keyword article. Two, who is anyone to say that this is the code of honor that we should abide by? Like, if you really want to have a code of honor for WordPress developers, then just ask lots of questions and open source it on GitHub and have a whole bunch of people contribute rather than dictating from the top down what you think the code of honor should be. So there you go. Happy to take any criticism, but that's my take on it. And I just think this is, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but I just think this is a little naive. That's my take on it. So anyway.
Yeah, I really think what you were saying before about if you're giving value and you're running a profitable business, then that's really the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're giving value to your clients and it's working well for you, then great. And you know, not being a dick and not ripping people off.
The other thing is, every conversation I've had with everyone over the years who's like anti-outsourcing has got one of these in their pocket, right? The sum total of the parts of this iPhone X, the sum total of the parts of this is about $280 in parts, plus some labor out of China. And no one begrudges Apple for being one of the most profitable companies on the planet, and the fact that some of their staff in China throw themselves out of the window to their own death because the working conditions are so freaking bad.
Suicide nets.
So if you've got one of these in your smartphone, in your pocket, you are in no position to bang on about, you know, the pros or cons of outsourcing because you're buying into the whole thing here. So, you know, that's kind of part of the problem I have with this is, you know, if you're going to walk the walk, then, you know, walk the walk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, anyway,
yeah.
I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just, you know, I'm just calling it as it is.
Yeah, and try call a call center that, you know, an Australian picks up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suncorp Bank, my bank, love them because all their support staff are here in Australia.
Oh, are they?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, perfect. Internode, my internet company, they're Australian.
Yeah, and I have no problem. I have no problem with telcos and large banks putting their call centers in Manila or Cebu. I have no problem with that whatsoever because those companies need to stay profitable, right? I mean, this is a whole other conversation, but the reason that a lot of those companies are profitable is because they need to return dividends to shareholders, which is a whole other conversation that I do have a little bit of a problem with. But I have no problem if you are outsourcing some work to other economies where the cost of labour is cheaper because the cost of living is cheaper, if that's what you need to do to stay profitable. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And I think if you do have a problem with it, I think it's just a little naive and maybe you should just, you know, I mean, I just spent a week in Manila with our team and got to know them and asked about their families and, you know, we support them in ways that I can't, so many ways that I haven't even got time to go into here, but we support our staff in so many ways that they would never be supported working for a local company. Yeah. And we support our staff in the Philippines in ways that we don't even support our staff here. So, sorry, mate. You know, so anyway, that's my little rant on it. That's what pisses me off. Yeah. A bit early, I know, but that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, let's move on.
So, also in the news, Pippin Williamson had a keynote for WordPress Kansas City. It's definitely worth the watch. He talks about the art of juggling many roles in a bootstrap business. Won't go into the details, but that's definitely worth a watch there. I'm a big fan of Pippin. Also in the news. Oh, we hit over 12,000 too.
I know we did.
Exciting.
I don't know whether the likes are going.
Great if
I don't know whether the likes are going up or down based on what I just said.
Just
I'm not sure.
Oh, we're back into 11. Oh, we're back to 10.
Whoops! Lots of people have just unliked the page.
Yeah. There was an article by Kinster on how a race to the bottom hurts your business's bottom line, and I really like this because it's about becoming a commodity, and is if you're competing on price and you're just talking about price and that's all you've got basically to talk to your clients about, and that's the only conversation that they're having with you as well, is that it's an absolute race to the bottom. So you have to be able to position your business so that it's not a commodity, it's not the same as someone else. And there's, you know, that's another conversation as well. But basically, if you're able to get into a niche, if you're able to be in a category of one where you're absolutely owning that niche, for example, if you're doing digital marketing for dentists and you're able to increase high-value patients that come into their what do they call them, offices? Into
clinics.
Their practices,
Yeah. Dental clinic. It's usually called a dental clinic.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do that,
when was the last time you went to the dentist?
Years.
There you go. That's why you don't know it's called a dental clinic. No. You know, young people. Well, you've got so much ahead of you, my friend.
I think it's practices.
Dental practice.
Yeah?
Dental clinic.
I think
dental
it is.
practice.
So if you're able to specialize in that and specialize in the value that you give to them, then your competition, you no longer do lead generation. You no longer do websites for dentists. You are now specializing in delivering value, basically. So if you're able to get into that niche, you get out of the commodity, and you don't have to dive into the race to the bottom where you're just building websites, right?
Yep.
Cool. So this is a great read as well. If you are a little bit, I guess, anxious about learning about business and the numbers, and that is a little scary for you, then progress really happens at the edge of your comfort zone. So it might feel a little awkward.
I like that one.
If it feels a little awkward, then that's okay. That's not saying that you should be fearful of it and avoid it, because you'll just go back to doing what you've always done and you won't grow in that area. So just explore that a little bit more. If you are running your own business, it's going to help to learn a bit more about this. So if you feel a little uncomfortable, that's the space you need to play in. We've
been saying this for a long time here at WP Elevation, but the thing that you can't outsource and the thing that you can't delegate and the thing that will never become a commodity is the relationships that you have with your clients and how invested you are in their success. So if you're doing anything that is technology based, it's a commodity. I mean, just have a look at, sure, some of the examples might not be great, but have a look at Fiverr, have a look at 99 Designs, have a look at Upwork, have a look at Design Geeks or Growth Geeks or Word Geeks or that whole Workify ecosystem over there. I mean, there will always be people who find a smarter, more efficient way of delivering an output to you using technology. Workify and the guys at Design Geeks and Growth Geeks is a great example of this. And my friend Adam Stone, who runs Speedlance, is a great example of this. They've used technology to optimize that whole transaction of ordering something and having it delivered, right? So, and yes, it won't suit everyone, but there are lots of companies that are at particular levels of their growth where using Speedlancer to have their blog posts written and have their YouTube thumbnails designed makes perfect sense and economically makes perfect sense as well. You do get to a point where you want to start bringing these things in-house to have tighter control, but the point of my story is that if you are just delivering outputs without a relationship involved, then you are a commodity and it is a race to the bottom. Yeah. So basically what he said. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this actually brings us to our next point, because as I was putting some of this stuff together and what we've been talking about, there was a couple of things that were really frustrating for me this week.
This pisses me off.
Let's just see where we can take this one, because what pisses me off is the thought and my own thoughts about that selling is dirty. It actually, it pisses me off that I can't, well, I might be able to, but that I can't get past that, and that a lot of businesses, especially freelancers, don't realize how important it is to actually be generating sales for their own business. And I think even in the way that I'm describing that, that's actually making it harder for most people to realize that they need sales, is because it's like, oh, you need more, I need more money, I need to convince people to spend money with me. But riddle me this, if you are delivering so much value to your clients, then why is it selling? If it's all about that you're building a website to generate them leads, to increase their business and to help them, then the only reason that they wouldn't work with you that is them. There's a problem with them. They can't afford it, or there's something, it's not good timing for them. But all you should be doing is trying to get that value in front of as many people as possible. Then it's not selling. It's only selling if you have to convince. If you have to convince someone that you need to do it, right? Like if I was to just say to you, I'm gonna rebuild your website, and I can see, looking at your website, that's gonna increase your business by 5 times. Like by doing this and looking at these case studies and my experience, it's gonna increase your business by 5 times. So you pay me, 1/5 of that, and I'm gonna be able to do that with your business. Does that sound good, client? That's just an absolute no-brainer. There's no real sales in that. It's just thinking about the value that you've given to your clients, and all you need to do is look. If you are a business that exists, you don't need to create something new. Look into the past, look into what you've done, and try to get the metrics as to the results that you've actually given to your clients. Now, the best way to do that is just to ask them, what kind of value have I given to you? And can we be specific? Like, how has that helped your business, please, client? So it's not about sales. It is just about giving value, and you need that in your own business. So it's about helping as many people as possible. So sales is dirty. That's what pisses me off.
Well done, well done, well done. My old man was a salesman, right? And well, he still is actually.
What was he selling?
My old man sold a toilet tissue and feminine hygiene products. True story. True story.
I'm going to segue on that real quick.
Go on.
I was in China at a nightclub, which was just insane. It was like Lamborghinis and red carpet out the front, and it was ridiculous. And we drank there for free because we weren't Asian. But anyway, so we were there, and then some photographers came up to us, and they had these little boxes that looked like perfume. And so me and my friend, we like posed next to each other, like, and then took photos, and it was for feminine hygiene products.
There you go.
So we will be on the side of billboards somewhere in Beijing.
So my old man was a salesman. He worked for companies basically selling toilet paper and tampons to supermarkets around Adelaide.
Yep.
And and now he sells alfresco blinds. He sells outdoor blinds and alfresco blinds to cafes. But he's always been in sales, right? And the one thing I learned from my dad, and he's had to deal with this as well his whole life, and I had to deal with it because everyone was like, oh, you're a chip off the old man's block. Because I'm verbose and I like talking, people are like, oh, you're a natural salesman. Not true. I actually find sales quite icky, and I know my dad feels a similar way. So my dad's whole approach to sales was people buy from people they like. It's really simple, right? People buy from people they trust. If you need some work done around the yard, if you need someone to come and do some concreting around the yard, what do? The first thing you do is you call up your mates and you say, do you know what a good concreter who's not going to rip me off and going to do a good job? Yep, go and see Jimmy. Sweet, Jimmy, you've got the gig, let's go, because I trust you because my friend recommended you. So people buy from people they trust. So his job as a salesperson was to go in, and although it didn't matter what he was selling, my dad's job was to go in. He defined his job as to go into a supermarket, work with the supermarket owner to make sure that the supermarket owner was getting maximum return on investment from the stock placings on the shelves, right? So my dad would actually redesign entire sections, including his competitors' products, to make sure that the owner was getting maximum return. He wasn't just about getting more of his product in there because that's the short game. He wanted to be able to go back there month in, month out for 5, 10, 15, 20 years and be welcome in the store and be a part of the family. And people buy from people like that rather than you having to sell to them. So the very simple way that I look at this is, hey, I've got some skills that can help you in your business, but I need to eat while I'm working on your business. So you need to pay me some money so I can eat while I'm working on your business. That's it. If you have that conversation in your head, you don't have to sell. Belinda Lindhart says, I'm no good at selling. But I bet, Belinda, you are good at helping your clients or adding some value to your clients' businesses. So just do that, and remember, you have to eat while you're working on their business, right? So the next time you find yourself doing a little tweak on a client's website for free, remember, you have to eat while you're working on their business, and that means they have to pay you money while you're working on that business.
Yeah, and just on that as well, I found myself in a client project where we were just making tiny little changes, and it was costing a lot, and the return, there was no measure of return that was happening there. It was like, oh, we want to make that blue, a different shade of blue, oh, it doesn't quite look right to my eye. And that's where the conversation of price and this is expensive comes in, because there literally is no value to that. It's just like, it becomes a commodity, and I had to change the conversation and go, okay, cool, we can mess around with this, we can play around with this until, forever. We could keep making it right to your eye, but I care about your business. I care that you're going to run out of money to pay me, and then it's going to be over, and no one wants that. So I care about this relationship enough to say that this isn't working for you, client. You making these changes are not working for you and your business. I care about your business. So let's have a chat. We may not know how to solve this, but let's have a chat about what actually would be valuable to your business. And I may not have the answer to that, but I started having those conversations with clients, and that helped so much more. Just getting on the same page with what was important to their business, got out of the, can you change that to a different green? Can you put a pop-up there? I was like, what's important? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And we'll work backwards from there. And I'll help develop the solution to that instead of wait for you to tell me what you think needs to happen, which is probably going to be wrong, and it's probably going to cost you a heap more.
Jude Love is on Facebook, says, I need a brain transplant about this. That's fine, Jude. Happy to do that next time we see each other. I'm not a brain surgeon, but I'm happy to have a crack at it for you. And Belinda
we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, Belinda said, yes, that's exactly it. No one expects you to work on their shit for free, but the minute you do, you set a dangerous precedent. So I will not even meet with a client. I won't even take a phone call from a client now for them to tell me their new stupid idea that's not going to work without getting paid, right? Sorry, you want to have a talk about your new project? Book me in for a strategy session. Otherwise, whistle Dixie. Go to Theme Forest and pick a theme, do it yourself. Or go to Squarespace and do it yourself, right? So I value my time enough to know that it's worth charging for.
Yeah.
And therefore my clients value my time and they know that they have to pay for my time because I don't do shit for free. I used to, but not anymore.
Yep. And when you say yes to things like that, you're saying no to giving value to your paying clients as well.
Correct.
Because you don't have the time to do that.
Correct.
You can't add more value if you're doing stuff for free all the time at the request of somebody else.
Correct. All right, I think we've flogged this dead horse enough. Let's move on and let's try and answer some questions from the Facebook group.
Let's get unstuck.
So this week it's all about the website audit. So I put the question to the group about what would you like to learn more about a website audit, and Roby Lawrence says, when you inherit a site from another developer with a custom theme, what do you need to check for in terms of quality/stability? What potential surprises may pop up in the future resulting from updates? Let's assume I'm a PHP beginner. Well, Roby, you definitely want to be doing a level of investigation when you get started, and not just the theme itself. You want to be having a look at like how their hosting's set up, how their email is set up, what else can you, not just protecting yourself in terms of like the PHP code that's been set up together, but how can you give value back to the client as well? Because if you're talking PHP and you're thinking about how you can protect yourself, you need to make sure that you're delivering something that's valuable to the client as well, some kind of report, even if it's related to SEO. If you're a developer, even if you're just giving them some value in terms of where their search engine rankings are, how their marketing is looking, if you're able to just give them a couple of snippets on that, it can really help to give them value. But when you're checking in terms of like quality and stability, definitely want to be looking for companies that have been around for a while, so like theme development companies that have a bit of a history as well. You want to look for popular themes, good reviews, of course, in these themes, and looking at the code if it's been tweaked or changed as well. Because if a theme was to get updated, then you lose all the customizations. So they want to be using child themes and putting the customizations within the functions.php file. So you want to make sure that those overall guidelines are being followed when you're investigating a theme. But we do have a bit more in this show that we'll explain to you. Did you want to say anything more on that question?
That was all very technical and I didn't understand a word of it. But what I do want to, there's one question I want to answer, lots to talk about. Which tools do we use? We're going to talk about that a little bit later in our special tool of the week section.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So, without further ado, let's jump into the main topic this week.
Time to dig into the gold nugget.
So this is all about sales, it seems. Yeah. No?
Dig.
Website audit.
Dig.
Oh, digging.
Gold nugget.
Digging.
Dig. Gold nugget. See, it's gold behind us. I think. It's
gold.
Kind of something.
Ish.
Goldish. Goldish.
Purpley, goldy,
Goldish.
ready.
Purpley, gold.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
There we go. Gold.
Nice one,
Yellow.
Max.
How'd you
Turn
do
that
that?
gold up
How
to
do
the
you do that
max.
with that? It's a bit of G and a bit of B, is it? How do you do? How do you get a gold light?
What's the formula?
Bit of G and a bit of B. Bit of green, bit of blue. Go on. Go on then.
So it's all about website auditing today. So that sounds like a bit of a dry topic. It's really about how can you, if a client says to you, this happens quite a bit. If a client says, I want someone to maintain my website, right? So you want to make sure that when you get started with that, you don't just jump on the maintenance and you start charging $100, $200, $500, whatever it is per month to maintain this, when you don't know what it looks like. You don't know behind the scenes. You're not really sure what plugins they're using. You want to do a bit of an investigation. You want to make sure you're doing your due diligence to see how it's all set up before you dive into this. And in order to get paid for that, you need to reframe that. You're protecting yourself, right? But you want to reframe that in that it's giving the client value. So that's where you can sell a website audit. You can also set this up as something that's a systemized process that becomes a product, right? So you can sell this on repeat for a fixed price and it can have a set profit margin that can get better and better. So you can get faster and faster with this and sell it on repeat.
And you can teach and train other people how to deliver this on your team, so you don't have to actually be the one that does it if you're growing your team. One thing I do want to touch on is this is what I call a wedge product. Now, one of my big hairy skeletons in my closet is that I also used to be a traveling salesman driving around the country, calling on hairdressing salons. Hi, Troy here from such and such. Just wanted to come in and try and sell you some shampoo and some hairspray and some hair colour. And the The big thing in that business, the big recurring revenue product in that business model was the hair color. You want to get your hair color product out the back because that's just a recurring order. Every month you go there, they're going to be ordering more color because they're using that color on their client's hair, right? However, there's a lot of trust. There's something to learn here, so pay attention. I'm not just off on some rant here, all right? There's a lot of trust in that relationship to get your color out the back because obviously they don't want to burn their client's hair with a dodgy color product. So there's a bit of a relationship that needs to be built before they will agree to try your color out the back. So how do you keep going back there every month and asking the same question? Will you try my color out the back? No, go away, you stalking creep. I don't know who you are, leave me alone. Okay, so in the meantime, how about I try and be helpful. What else do you need in the salon? Do you need some perming rods or some foils or some combs, or do you need some bulk shampoo to put at the basin to wash people's hair? What else do you need? How else can I help? Do you need some towels? Oh, well, I tell you what, we do need some towels and some perming rods. So what you want to do is you want to use a wedge product to wedge your foot in the door, get them to open an account and buy something very small from you. So then you have a reason to go back every month, build the relationship until eventually you can get the color out the back. That's kind of the model. And in a perfect world, get all your retail products out the front because that is also recurring revenue because they get bought and sold on a regular basis. So this is a website audit is a wedge product. It's a reason for you to get your foot in the door, collaborate with the client on something small, over deliver, wow them with how amazing and genius you are because you've learnt all this cool stuff from Troy and Simon and everyone else at WP Elevation. And then you say, hey, we should build a new website for you. And they're like, yay, that's a great idea. So this is just a little wedge product. That's how I sort of think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I really like what you were saying there about how you asked them what they need. Yeah. You asked them what their goals were. What are their challenges, right? And then there was a solution to that. Yeah. Beautiful. What better way to show that you're valuable than by giving value?
Crazy idea.
I know, right?
Crazy idea.
I think one of the issues, and I'll try not to get on too much of a rant here, is that we're thinking about what we get out of this, right? That's why sales is hard, because you're thinking, I need money, right? So you approach sales with that thought, so you're like, I'm entering into this conversation and my objective is to take. And that's why it's difficult. That's why it's hard on your mindset, because you don't want to do that. That's not that there's some belief where you don't feel like you want to do that. So what if you approach it from how much value you can give, right? How much value can you give? And then it's not such a icky thing when it comes to the price, because that's the price of it, and that's an investment, and that gives value. Right? So then it's an absolute no-brainer. For $500, if I could help to make this business $5,000, who would say no to that?
And it's an easier conversation to have when you're only charging a small amount for a thing like a website audit or any other wedge product that you may have. And it's funny you mentioned the difference between give and take, because one of the things that we talk about when we run our little plug here, one of the things we talk about when we run our live events, like we've got coming up in San Diego at the end of June, and which tickets are almost sold out, I might add. One of the things we first talk about is the difference between when you go to a live event, people are sitting there going, oh, what's in this for me? What am I going to learn? How am I going to transform? I reckon these guys are all a bit full of shit. And you kind of have this defensive, like, oh, what's in it for me attitude. Whereas if you come, and what happens is if everyone's taking energy out of the room, it gets pretty empty pretty quickly, and then we're all running around with oxygen masks trying to breathe because everyone's like sucking the energy out of the room. Whereas if you go into the room saying, how can I be really helpful here today? And how can I help other people in the room? And in fact, how can I help the facilitators with anything they need? And if everyone has that giving energy, then there's more energy in the room, and a rising tide lifts all boats, to coin another cliche. So there you go, just a different mindset between give and take.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And to coin another little phrase that I love, Zig Ziglar once famously said, in fact he didn't famously say it, he just said it and it became a famous thing. He said, you can have everything you want in life if you just help others get what they want.
That was Zig Ziglar.
That was Zig Ziglar.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's good. It's good, isn't it?
Cool. So, what's in a website audit? So
probably talk about
things
that.
like one-time maintenance for and tune-ups for websites. I actually got this this structure from Christina Romero, Coach Christina, the process for this. So one-time maintenance and tune-ups for websites. You can give this as something you give to your existing clients as well. So once every 6 months you could perform this as pro bono, or you could, or not pro bono, you could do this as part of their website care, or this could be something that you sell to them to be able to get them onto website care as well. So there's lots of different applications for this. So theme check. You could do plugin checks as well, hosting check to see if that makes sense for them. If they're on e-commerce and they're on Bluehost and that's not really working for them, then maybe they need to move to something a bit more VPS or something like that. That's going to be able to improve their uptime and speed. Customization check. So how is the website being customized? Maybe they need to reduce the level of customizations to adapt and suit their goals. And then whatever other checks are going to be most valuable to your client. So we've got a bit of a template to be able to help you do this, of course, which brings us to the tool of the week.
Get ready for Tool of the Week.
You know, one thing I really like about you, just one thing I really like about you,
go on,
is your commitment to not only teaching people something, but then giving them a template so that they can go and implement it.
Then there's no excuses.
I love it.
My thought on that is that if you're learning something and you go, great, but if only this, and if I can't do that because this, like if I just give everything, then what's stopping you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
The other thing that you may not realise is that as an educator, and I don't know if you've kind of worked this out yet, but as an educator, it's actually easier to teach something if you've got a template to give, because then you basically just develop the template and then teach them how to use the template.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And there's a bigger strategy going on here.
Oh, really?
Which, well, hopefully you're privy to, is that we're building all of these resources, all of these different things to kind of like map out the different journey of someone who's building websites and trying to grow their WordPress consultancy business. As we're doing all of this, this is just a small portion of what's included behind in the WP Elevation membership.
Right,
this is just little nuggets from within the community.
There you go.
It's all part of the.
By the way, we should. I mean, it's very remiss of us not to have mentioned this, but we should probably mention that very sneakily. Don't tell anyone, but we're currently accepting students into WP Elevation, aren't we?
That's right.
We are. True story.
Right.
We're currently accepting students into WP Elevation. So if you've ever thought about joining WP Elevation to take your WordPress consulting business to the next level, now would be a good time to join. We're actually running a case study program. A special case study group. So if you want to get in, this is the last time we're going to run our case study group before we open up to the general public. So if you want to get in on our case study group, just go to wpelevation.com, click on the join button, I think it is, or go to wpelevation.com/start.
That's how good of a salesman he is. Doesn't even know where the sign-up page is.
There we go. Not sure.
It's on the website.
You'll find it. You'll find it. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the tool of the week.
Are we able to do screen sharing there? Max Power.
Max Power. Wow. Thought his name was Max Jeffcott. Look at that screen share. Far out. Woo.
So we've got a WordPress website audit template here.
How beautiful is that template?
I know.
That's
it looks
gorgeous,
great,
isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through all of the details here, but basically you can take this report, tweak it, make it your own, put it into a system that you like to use. I personally put into Better Proposals. But I've put it in this template so you can copy and paste it, put it into Word, put it into Google Docs, whatever, deliver it as a PDF, however you want to do it. Better Proposals, as I said, is how I do it. This template is essentially the process. So you can go from top to bottom and you can just kind of fill in the blanks about how you can put together an audit. We've got the client's website, what version it is, where their hosting is, what plugins they're using, a space for recommendations for their plugins. Lots and lots of stuff there. Instructions for you and how you can put that together. And the details of a malware scan, how they're doing backups. There's lots more. And all of this, it's give massive value up front, but it also leads towards the realization they don't even know they have, is that they don't have a backup plan. They're not scanning for security. They don't know about all of this stuff. It's very hard to sell someone on a problem that they don't think they've got. So this is a good way to give them value, but then also teach them about a couple of things that they didn't realize that they need when it comes to having a website, right? So they're like, oh my God, like, thank you for this value, but also I didn't know I need to pay attention to this stuff. Do you reckon you'd be able to help me with that on an ongoing basis?
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
Now you've got a template that gives value and also helps you with your sales process.
Great. And we're giving that template away, are we?
We absolutely
are.
are.
There we go.
Yeah,
fantastic.
There'll be a link somewhere, I'm sure.
The kind of guys we are.
I know, right? Whew. Well, this is
it's been a big episode.
Yeah,
it has been a big episode.
Seems like there's a couple of things that we need to talk about when it comes to like business development and sales. If that's something that you're interested in learning about from a non-sleazy salesman perspective, please give us a like, a share, a hell yeah in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know what it is that you're stuck with. We'd love to develop some more resources, tools, checklists, all sorts of things to be able to help you get past anything that you're stuck with. So, please let us know.
Leave us a comment next to this video, underneath this video, tell us what you want to learn next. And also, if you do want to come to San Diego, get on over to, I don't even know the link here, but I'll tell you what, I'll leave it in the chat here maybe. Here we go, I'll leave it in the chat here. It is, just get on over to our page where we've made a little video explaining everything about it. Here we go. There we go. I just left it in the comment next to the video there. So check out our live event information. We're coming to San Diego at the end of June, and we'll be drinking whiskey, won't we?
Yeah, all the way there.
All the way there.
During the event.
Whiskey. During the event.
Yeah.
After the event. On the way home.
Yeah.
All night. We'll be drinking whiskey. We'll be up for 5 days straight drinking whiskey.
Have you seen that video? Sorry, just getting off camera there for a sec. Where it's this, I think it's the goon suit or something, and it's like a pen connected to a hose, and you can be thinking, but you can be drinking wine, and it's like it goes into
connected to the goon bag, hey?
Yeah.
We'll have little flasks on the day, and we'll be, awesome.
That's why you should come along.
Hey, Les X says, how long is WP Elevation open? I made a deposit to my PayPal today and I can't pay from PayPal for the first month. Oh dear. Les X, you should email support@wpelevation.com and we will get that question answered for you. Hey, and the other, very quickly, I just wanted to give a big shout out to one of our members, Cliff. Did we mention my website audit?
Well, it's actually in the notes of the template.
Okay,
but
there we go.
I think we should definitely
Well, we should, yeah. I
just
just want to give a big shout out to one of our members, Cliff, who I believe is coming to San Diego. Cliff, I'm looking at you.
Trying to make the pieces
He's trying
work.
to make it work.
Yeah.
His website is mywebaudit.com. mywebaudit.com. It's spelt exactly how you would think it is spelt, all one word, all lowercase, no underscores, spaces, hyphens, or other hieroglyphics. There you go. And it is a tool that allows you to do website audits for your clients, and you can take it for a free trial for 14 days. So go check out mywebaudit.com. That's one of our members, Cliff Almeida, who is an elevator.
Yeah. So you can take this whole process and condense it into something that does it all for you.
Sweet. Hey, we really look forward to seeing you next week on the show. Please tell us what you want to learn, because this show is really about you. It's not about us. Is it? Really?
Little bits for us. The rest is for you.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And until then, remember, I'm Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly. And knowledge is power.
That's the one. And silence is golden.